What's going on, guys? This is TopTierYugioh. I'm AntwanSteele, and I'm here to bring you a Zefra deck profile. Alright, first we're going to start with the monsters, and before anything, I'm going to mention the effect that all the Zefra monsters have. But all the Zefra monsters have the same pendulum effect, that you can only pendulum summon Zefra monsters, and then monsters of their respective archetypes. This is important because if you have, say, a Satellite Zefra and a Zing Zefra, you can only pendulum summon Zefra monsters, because the Zing Zefra will only let you pendulum summon Zefra or Zing, and the Tellers will only let you summon Tellers and Zefra, so the only thing that they have in common are Zefra. This won't let you summon the Tellers, and this won't let you summon the Zings. Alright, so with that being said, let's get into the actual list. First, 3 Zefra New, and this is a 7 scale Zing, really good. And what it does is when it's destroyed or pendulum summoned, I can search either a Zing spell or trap or a Zephyr spell or trap. Definitely one of the better cards in the deck. Next we got 3 Zefraxi. This is the 1 scale for the Zings, and what this does is when it's pendulum summoned or special summoned from the deck, I can target 1 Zephyr or Zing and make that a tuner. The reason that I play 3 of each Zephyr Zing is so that I can pendulum summon my Zing monsters more frequently. I have more Zing monsters than any other monster in the deck, so that's why I play 3 of each. Next we have 2 Zefraxiton and 2 Zefra Thubin. These are the Satellite Zefra, and what they have really similar effects to where when they're flip summoned, normal summoned, or pendulum summoned, I can target 1 Zephyr or Teller card monster on my side of the field, and then 1 card on their side of the field, my opponent, and destroy it. Zefra Thubin destroys face up cards, and Zefraxiton destroys face down cards. These are both extremely useful because I can search them relatively easily with Rhoda, Deneb, Oracle of Zefra, and have outs to a lot of problem cards. Like say Mistake, I can't search this and destroy Mistake, but if I have this in hand already, I can destroy Mistake, or I can search this, destroy face downs if they have a lot of traps or things like that. These are extremely versatile and really easy to get whenever I need them. Next we have 1 Shaddolls Zefra Naga and 1 Shaddolls Zefra Core. Honestly, these guys are pretty bad, but I play them only because they're Shaddolls Zefra, so I can search. It's another way to search my scales, and then I can play Shaddoll fusions easier. I have a searchable way to get a Shaddoll if I need one, so that's useful. And the last 2 monsters are Zefra Saber and then Zefraxa. Again, just like the Shaddolls Zefra, these are honestly pretty bad, but I play them for the names. The Nekroz engine is really, really good, and so having the Nekroz Zefra gives me really searchable ways to get my scales. And actually Zefra Saber is useful, outside of its name. For one, because it's water, which means I can go into Anoyatilis relatively easy, and also it gives me access to Delorean, which is out the towers. Okay, so now let's talk about the monsters that aren't Zefra. First, I play 3 Jiao2, Darkness of the Zing. This is definitely the main tuner of the deck. It really lets me go into all of my big plays like Bastia and everything else that I really need. Next, 3 Chiwen. It's just amazing. Most of the Zings have the effect where they can only summon a monster in attack or defense, and it's really hindering sometimes when you need to summon a monster in a certain position but you have a different Zing. And Chiwen is really good because it lets you summon in either position. And then also being a level 1 tuner gives it a lot of flexibility. Alongside with that, its graveyard effect, so it pretty much can give you 2 Synchros if used correctly. Next, we've got 2 Suwani, Fire of the Zing. Suwani is extremely good, 1 because it's a beat stick, and then 2 because it adds 500 attack to all of your Synchro monsters that you make. And 500 attack, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about it, having a Yazi with 3100, a Clear Wing with 3000, things like that are just extremely hard for most decks to get over. And it really shines. This card really shines in a lot of duels. Now we've got the 1 of Zings, and for those I play 1 Bixie and then 1 Beyond. Bixie is good, because it gives immunity to traps, which is extremely useful. And I don't want to draw it too often, it's not too good of a normal summon. And same with Beyond, these aren't really good normal summons, and they don't advance my game state at all. But they're really good to have in the deck as options if I need to get around traps, or if I need to summon something that's immune to battle. So they're must-haves, they're necessary evils, if you will. So that's it for the Zings. Now we have 2 Brionac. And the reason they're in here is just to search scales. Because you want to be as consistent as possible with each scale so you can pendulum summon whenever you want. You always want to have the option to pendulum summon, and for that, you need to have ways to search either scale. Next, we have Once a Teller Knight Deneb for the exact same reason. You've got to be able to search the scales in this deck. Next, Armageddon Knight. Again, the same reason. With Armageddon Knight's effect, I can send the Shaddoll Hedgehog, and Hedgehog can search me one of my two Shaddoll Zefra, which means I can get any scale I want. So Armageddon Knight is also another card that if summoned, it's going to give me either scale. Then with that, I include Shaddoll Dragon because it gives me a searchable way to destroy spell or traps, which is pretty useful. But I want to reiterate, these four cards, Deneb, Armageddon Knight, and Brionex, are extremely important to the deck because you have to be able to get your scales. Or if you have hands that you have a lot of a similar scale, being able to get the second one is really useful. Okay, so I might open up a hand like this, these three and maybe two spell or traps, and this is exactly the reason why Armageddon Knight, Deneb, and Brionex are useful, because I'd wanna pendulum summon Zephyr and you so I can get my searches off and then kind of get the ball rolling, but I don't have a 1 scale. And so what Armageddon Knight does is it allows me to search that 1 scale. And the same thing would happen if, say, I had a hand of all 1 scales. I could use Armageddon Knight to search a 7 scale. And so it's really useful in a lot of hands, and it's really rarely ever a dead draw. And then finally, for the last two monsters, to Effect Veiler, Trishula really hurts this deck. Sometimes you can't play handless. You have a lot of normal summons, and so Effect Veiler really helps me play around that. Next, let's get into the spells. First, 3 Terraforming, and 3 Oracle of the Zefra. I really kind of count this as 6 Oracles, because, I mean, Terraforming is almost always going to be an Oracle every single time. And the reason I play 3 of each is because this is a 50 card deck, and I need to be able to search Oracle as quick as possible. And so playing 6 allows me to do that. It gives me relatively the same probability of, playing 3 in a 37 card deck, if I were to, play 3 upstarts. So it's a really good ratio. And what Oracle does is, it's like a Tinky, first of all. When I activate it, I can search a Zefra. And then after that, it has effects based on if I Ritual Summon, Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz. And if I Ritual Summon, I can shuffle 1 monster on the field into the deck. Fusion Summon, Special Summon a monster from hand. Synchro, which is my favorite. If I Synchro Summon, I can search 1 monster from my deck and put it on top of the deck. I like that effect a lot, because a lot of times I'll side on Thunder King. So this will let me top deck a Thunder King against like Nekroz. Or sometimes I'll top an Effect Veiler if I know the only out is a monster. Things like that are really useful. It comes in handy. And then finally the Xyz effect. Draw 1 card, discard 1 card. It helps you cycle through the deck, but it honestly doesn't do much for the deck because there aren't too many things that activate in the graveyard. Maybe Chi-Win if you have it, or maybe a Shaddoll monster, but it's an effect that you can do without. Next, 3 reinforcements of the army. First, it lets me search Armageddon Knight or Deneb, which means this can turn into any scale, and then Armageddon Knight can destroy spell or traps. It can search Zephyr Thubin, which is out to face up monsters. So, and Deneb, which can get Zefra, which can destroy face downs, but so reinforcements of the army is pretty much an out to face ups, face downs, spell or traps, or either a 7 or 1 scale. So it's extremely versatile, and that's why I play it at 3. 3 Shaddoll Fusion. This is really good right now just because I can play Anoyatilis, and Anoyatilis is a pain for Nekroz to get around. And then also, a problem with a lot of Pendulum decks, including this and Qliphort, is that they plus a lot, because Konami's made it so that Pendulum decks don't lose advantage by setting up their scales. And so it's really easy to have, like 8 or 9 cards at the end of the turn because the scales are there. They don't do anything, but they count as cards. And so a lot of times, any rank 4 deck, or even Nekroz, or a lot of decks, they can summon Exciton. And Exciton punishes you really, really hard. And so Shaddoll Fusion is an immediate answer to Exciton. And as well as a lot of other Xyz, Synchros, anything really. And most decks can't get around Window, Construct. They're hard. Shadolls are hard to play around. So if I can get the Shaddoll engine rolling in a duel against a deck that Xyzes, or Synchros or whatever, it's really tough. 1 Raigeki, it's too good not to play. And then 1 Yang Zing Path lets me recycle all my things, all my Yang Zings. It's really good. It's easy, searchable, +1. I can search it with Zephyr New whenever I need it, and then it's an immediate +1. And that's always good in any deck. Now let's move on to the traps. I only play 4. The first 2 are Yang Zing Creation. Yang Zing Creation it's almost an auto win in this deck. If you get this in any other Yang Zing monster, chances are you're going to win this duel. If you resolve 2, especially at the same time, yeah, it's GG, buddy. It's too hard for a lot of decks to get over. Because imagine destroying a Yang Zing monster, and then I'm gonna special summon 3 Yang Zings from my deck, and then I can Synchro summon in your turn, which is ridiculous. So Yang Zing Creation is definitely really good. Gotta play this card. And then finally, 2 Zefra Divine Strike. I mean, Solemn Judgment, why not? It's really good. I can search it 2 with Zefra New, and sets up really easily. Now let's get into the extra deck. We're going to start out with the Shaddoll monsters. 1 Winda, 1 Noyatilis, and 1 Construct. I mean, what else can I say? These guys are just extremely useful against the Tellers. Burning Abyss, Winda is extremely hard to get around. Against Nekroz and Noyatilis is almost auto-win. And Construct just beats over most decks, most rogue decks. And then also, I do want to mention, another reason why I play the Nekroz monsters is so I can summon a Noyatilis, because I can search Zephyr Saber, a water monster. I can search that with Brionac. I can search with Oracle, which I play 6 of. I mean, there are a lot of ways to search a water. And then the same with the Shaddolls. I can search a Shaddoll with Rhoda and the Armageddon Knight. I can search a Shaddoll with Oracle or Terraforming. It's really easy to get what I need to summon a Noyatilis. The only Xyz I play is Honor Arc. I was really conflicted between this and Castell, but I ultimately chose this because throughout my testing, I really realized that I went into it more. Castell, I mean, they serve the same purpose, but then Honor Arc is a water, and that I haven't done it yet, but it's a possibility that I can use it to go into a Noyatilis, and then also it has built-in protection, which is nice. But honestly, I didn't really find myself going into Castell as much. Alright, let's get into the Synchros. First, we have 1 Herald of the Arclight. This is maybe the Synchro I go into the second most. It's amazing against Nekroz, BA, Shaddolls. They can't send from the deck to the graveyard, or else it's banished, or the hand to the graveyard. So, I mean, every time they discard Bryo, Clausulus, Val, those things are getting banished now. And that takes away a lot of resources from them. Obviously good against Shaddolls and Nekroz. I mean, Shaddolls and BA. Then it has the effect to negate things. Always useful. And then, even if I do negate, or if it's destroyed or anything, when it's sent to the graveyard, I can search a ritual monster, so I can search Bryo, which means I can get any scale I want, which makes this card extremely good. Next, 1 Armades. I mean, getting over flip effects, things like that. No reason not to play it. For the 6s, I play 1 Dulorn, 1 Metaphys Horse. Dulorn is extremely good to out the towers, and usually I'll have a really big field. Like I said, Pendulum decks tend to plus a lot, so I'll usually have a field with like Oracle, 2 Scales, some other monster. So it's easy to get Dulorn up to, 3,000-4,000 attacks, sometimes 5,000. And it can deal a lot of damage really quickly. Metaphys Horus has won a lot of games. I mean, I can use the last 2 effects. The first one to negate a face-up card on the field. That's a permanent negation. So against Cleafort, you can negate a scout, and it's just going to sit in their pendulum zone, and they can't do anything with it. It's really good. Permanently negates anything face-up on the field. And then the last effect is like a change of heart. I mean, I like Snatch Steal. It's really good in this deck. Now for the 7s, 1 Yazi, 1 Clearwing. I'm thinking about going up to 2 Yazi, but I don't need it that often because it's in the dedicated Yang Zing deck, so I don't have to always play 2 Yazi, but sometimes the occasion does come up. But Yazi is extremely good against decks like BA, where they only have things that target. It's really hard to get around. So, I mean, I'm okay if they have to go into F0, if they even play that, to take out, something I can summon immediately. And then 1 Clearwing, I really like it against Nekroz. The only out to it is Trish, really. And I can negate Trish. Especially if I summon it with Suwani, where it has 3,000 attack, so you can't run over it with Valk, or anything. So these 2 are really easy to summon, and really hard to get off the field. Next, 1 Void Ogre Dragon. Jiao 2 is a Dark Tuner. And so I can summon this, really good against Nekroz, a lot of other decks. It kind of just steals off the game. It just finishes it. If I can go off and then end my combos with a Void Ogre Dragon, it kind of means I win. Like, just outright win. GG. Next, 1 Stardust. And like I said earlier, Exciton's a big problem. So a lot of times if I'm playing a rank 4 deck, and I can read that they can maybe go into a rank 4, then Stardust is usually the way to go because I don't want to get Exciton ever. And then also games 2 and 3, a lot of people will cite in like, Fairy Wind, Spell Shadowing, Arrows, things like that. Stardust is really good to have then in those situations as well. Alright, so this guy's the big daddy of them all, the big boy. Basha, Brightness of the Yang Zing. I summon this guy the most. Really good effect when he's Synchro Summoned. I can spin cards on my opponent's side of the field back to the deck equal to the number of worms used for the Synchro Summon, which is really good because sometimes I can spin 2 or 3 monsters, or spell or traps, anything back. And it's extremely good. And then second effect is really good as well, because I can revive anything in the any level 4 or lower in the grave. But that can be an Armageddon Knight, which can turn into Sending Dragon, destroying a spell or trap, or a Deneb, triggers the Neb's effect, or bring back Herald of the Arclight, and then have another negate. There are a lot of options for this guy's effect, and it's really useful. And finally, one Chao Feng, Phantom of the Yang Zing. I mean, what can I say? Chao Feng is amazing. I mean, first to lock off the effects of any archetype, any attribute I should say, depending on what I use to summon it. If it destroys monsters by battle, I can get a Yang Zing. If he gets destroyed, I can get a tuner, which is usually a Yang Zing. Or actually you can search Veiler, which is another interaction that's really good. But Chao Feng is definitely one of the best cards in the deck. Alright guys, this has been my Zefra deck profile. This is AntwanSteele here with Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh! And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Alright guys, see you later.